imagine you're sitting in a one-on-one with a senior leader, like a skip-level meeting.
Those are always high pressure.
Right. And it is going totally fine, completely standard, until they suddenly look at you and ask, what are you trying to achieve this quarter?
Just out of nowhere.
Completely out of nowhere. And you don't even blink. You just dive right in, answering with this really crisp list of projects.
Because that's what we all do.
Exactly. You tell them you are finishing a massive software migration and you're rolling out the new customer onboarding flow to 3 separate markets. You sit back, feeling pretty good about that output.
Naturally. You've been working hard.
Right. But the leader just stares at you. And then they say, that is what you were doing. I asked what you were trying to achieve.
Oh, man, that is such a chilling moment. The air just completely leaves the room.
It really does.
Because in that split second, you realize those are 2 fundamentally different questions. And you only prepared an answer for one of them.
And in those high-stakes moments, we just freeze. You sit there with your brain spinning, desperately trying to find the achievement hidden inside that list of tasks you just proudly presented.
And you can't find it.
No, you can't. Because up until that very moment, you hadn't actually separated your tasks from your ultimate goals in your own mind. Like you thought the work was the goal.
Which is a really natural place to end up. I mean, most of our day-to-day professional life is literally managing tasks.
Right, checking things off.
Exactly. But the higher up you go in an organization, the less people care about how you are spending your Tuesday. And the more they care about what direction that Tuesday is pushing the company.
The distinction between doing and achieving.
Yes. It is the ultimate dividing line in corporate advancement.
So that brings us to the mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at a stack of incredibly insightful notes from the Sharp English material.
Specifically their 13th module, right?
Yep, the module focusing on high-value corporate communication. The mission today is to equip you, our listener, with the exact vocabulary you need to stop talking about your tasks, which is the how.
And start presenting OKRs and strategy, which is the why and the what for.
Because if you hand a leadership team a list of things you are doing, well, the room might nod and smile, but nothing changes.
Right. The perception of you in that room remains fixed. You are viewed as a capable executor, but you remain totally invisible as a strategist.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why is it so incredibly hard for us to let go of the task list?
It's tough.
Because reading through these Sharp English notes, it is clear that this is not just a lack of preparation before a meeting. It's a psychological trap.
Oh, absolutely.
For so many professionals, and this is heavily true for non-native English speakers trying to navigate corporate environments, but equally true for native speakers, listing tasks just feels like a protective shield.
It feels safer because tasks are concrete, they are verifiable.
Right, you can prove you did them.
Exactly. If you say, I shipped 3 features and resolved 80% of our technical debt tickets, no one can argue with you. It is just a factual recounting of history.
But strategy language, on the other hand, feels inherently riskier.
Way riskier. To speak strategically, you have to step away from reporting the past. You have to make a claim about impact.
You have to make an assertion about the future direction of the business.
And that exposes you to debate.
But the irony is that playing it safe is actually the riskiest thing you can do for your career. I mean, thinking about how leaders process information, an analogy comes to mind.
Okay, let's hear it.
Walking into a leadership meeting and just listing your tasks is like walking up to the captain of a ship and reading them the engine diagnostics.
Oh, that's good.
Right. You are standing there saying, valve 4 is at normal pressure and the pistons are firing at maximum efficiency.
And the captain does not care about the valves.
Not at all. They want to know if the current weather patterns are going to delay your arrival at the next port.
That captures the disconnect perfectly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights the single most common mistake in strategic communication.
You just what?
We sit in these quarterly reviews, we put a slide on the screen, and we genuinely believe that if we just report the work accurately and thoroughly, the strategic value of that work will naturally reveal itself to the audience.
We think the engine diagnostics will automatically translate into the ETA.
Exactly. But there is a crucial rule here. It's a quote from the source material that is absolutely foundational.
Tell us.
The value is never self-evident. Your job is to make it evident.
It has to be you.
It has to be. If you stand up and say, here is what we did this quarter, and just leave it at that, you force the leaders in the room to do the heavy mental lifting.
Right. They have to sit there, look at your list of software updates or marketing campaigns, and try to translate those tasks into strategic significance.
And sometimes they will do that translation correctly, but sometimes they won't.
And more often than not, they will not even try because they are suffering from severe cognitive load already.
Exactly. They will simply view you as a highly efficient task manager. You are leaving your entire professional reputation up to their interpretation.
You are entirely giving away your power to frame the narrative.
So true.
So let's look at the practical application of this strategy, English, to ensure we keep that power. The source material provides us with specific phrasing to reshape these conversations.
Which is so helpful.
If we shouldn't open a meeting by reading a checklist of completed initiatives, the alternative they suggest is just fascinating.
What's the opener?
Instead of saying, in Q2, we completed these 3 initiatives, you open with, our focus this quarter was X, and the reason it mattered was Y.
That structure fundamentally shifts the cognitive state of the room.
It really does.
When you open with a list of activities, the listener's brain organizes around a checklist. They literally just start waiting for you to finish the list.
But when you open with, our focus this quarter was customer activation in the mid-market segment, and the reason it mattered was that this is the cohort with the highest 3-year retention rate, well, their brain organizes around a strategic argument.
And it is worth unpacking that specific example. If you just say, we activated users, that is a task.
A total task.
But by specifying the mid-market segment and connecting it to the 3-year retention rate, you are telling the room that you understand the financial engine of the company.
You understand that this specific group of users is what keeps the business profitable over the long haul.
Right. You haven't even mentioned a single task yet, but you've already proved you understand the business model.
That is so powerful.
Now, every piece of work you mention after that opener, like every feature shipped, every bug fixed, does not land as an inventory list.
It lands as evidence.
Exactly. Evidence supporting your argument. It is the difference between filing a progress report and making a strategic case.
Okay, that makes total sense for the qualitative updates. But we also live and die by hard numbers.
Oh, the metrics.
Right. We are constantly presenting OKRs, objectives, and key results. Say you walk into a room and your team just hit a massive goal.
You want to celebrate.
The overwhelming instinct is to lead with the trophy. You want to walk in and say, we hit 84% of our target.
Of course.
But the Sharp English curriculum gives us a much sharper tool for framing the metric. They suggest the number shouldn't be the end of the sentence. It should be the beginning.
Okay, what's the phrase?
You say, we closed the quarter at 84% of target. Here's what that tells us and what we are doing with it.
Oh, I love that. The distinction between a raw number and the phrase, here's what that tells us, is the difference between data and intelligence.
Because a number without interpretation is just raw data.
And leaders can get raw data from a dashboard. They do not need a human being to read a spreadsheet to them.
I think we really underestimate the decision fatigue that executives face.
Oh, absolutely.
A CEO looks at hundreds of metrics a day.
Yeah.
Their brain is actively seeking shortcuts. So when you say, here's what that tells us, you are signaling to the room that you have already done the deep analysis.
You are asking the executive team to stare at the 84% and figure out the implication?
No, you are relieving their cognitive tax by delivering the implication directly.
You save them time and simultaneously prove your own judgment.
Right.
You follow the number by saying, here's what that tells us. The friction isn't in user acquisition, it is in the first 7 days of the product experience. And what we are doing with it, well, Q3 is entirely focused on redesigning that 7-day window.
From one single metric, the leadership team receives the hard number, a completely synthesized business finding, and the forward direction for the next 3 months.
That is how senior professionals communicate. They don't just read the thermometer, they tell you how to dress for the climate.
I love that. They tell you how to dress for the climate. Now, once you have set the frame and interpreted the OKRs for the immediate quarter, the psychological state of the room usually shifts.
They get restless.
Yeah, executives are inherently forward-looking. The moment they feel secure about Q2, their brains are already moving to the long-term vision. They want to know if the Q2 results are steering the larger ship in the right direction.
And this is where we run into a major systemic issue in corporate communication. There is a striking piece of data in the source material from PwC's annual CEO survey.
What did they find?
They found that 79% of CEOs say the most common gap in leadership communication they observe is the failure to connect operational activity to strategic direction.
79%. That is wild.
It really is.
So it is not that the workforce is performing poorly or gathering inaccurate data.
Not a performance problem at all. It is a language problem. The bridge between the daily operations and the big picture strategy is missing because people just do not have the vocabulary to build it.
They leave the connection implicit, hoping the CEO will connect the dots for them.
Which brings us back to the rule that value is never self-evident. So true. To build that bridge explicitly, the source provides a phrase to place the immediate quarter inside a larger arc.
Let's hear it.
You say, this brings us closer to our long-term goal, and here's how far we have to go.
Notice the mechanics of the second half of that sentence. Here is how far we have to go.
What does that do?
It signals deep realism. It prevents you from sounding like a cheerleader relying on blind optimism.
Right.
You might say, this mid-market work brings us closer to our goal of reducing the payback period below 18 months. And based on our current trajectory, we reach that threshold in Q1 of next year.
Let's explain that payback period concept quickly for context.
Good idea.
That is the amount of time it takes for the company to earn back the money it spent to acquire a customer.
Right.
If you can show that your daily engineering or marketing work is actively shrinking that timeline, you are speaking the language of the CFO. You are showing them the connection between your team's Tuesday activities and a board-level financial goal. And by acknowledging the exact distance to the finish line, you demonstrate that you are grounded in reality. You understand the pace of the business.
But the reality of corporate life is that we don't always hit the target.
Oh, definitely not.
Sometimes the quarter is an absolute disaster. If resources dry up or a major project fails and we are not closer to the strategic goal, does this framework fall apart?
It's a fair question.
I mean, the instinct when things go wrong is to apologize and offer a mountain of context. How does the source material suggest we handle limitations?
This structure is actually designed to bear the weight of failure better than anything else.
Wait, really? Better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, the human instinct is indeed to get defensive. We try to pad the blow with caveats before we even deliver the bad news.
The classic excuse sandwich.
Exactly. But if the trajectory has slipped and you try to hide it in a cloud of context, you just look weak. Instead, you name the miss honestly using the exact same structure.
How does that sound?
You say, this quarter did not bring us closer to the payback period target. And here is what we learned about why.
So you don't hide the result. You demonstrate that you have studied it.
Honesty about a gap is mathematically stronger than a performance of progress that simply isn't there.
That makes total sense.
But the real test of executive communication is how you handle projects that you actively choose not to do.
Oh, like when resources are tight and things just get dropped.
Right. The usual phrasing is, well, we had to deprioritize this.
I say that all the time.
The sharp English material offers a crucial reframe for this. You say, we made a deliberate trade-off, and here is what we chose to protect.
Oh, wow. That phrase completely shifts the liability.
Doesn't it?
We made a deliberate trade-off, and here's what we chose to protect. You are no longer the victim of a tight budget. You are the architect of the solution.
It changes the entire psychology of the room. When you say we deprioritized, the listener hears that something failed to happen. You fell short of the plan. But when you say we made a deliberate trade-off, the listener hears that a strategic mind was actively managing resources.
You are transforming a limitation into a demonstration of strategic choice. You are saying, we made a deliberate trade-off. We protected the mid-market activation work at the cost of the enterprise feature timeline, because the activation metric is the one with board visibility this year.
Perfectly stated.
Suddenly, you aren't apologizing for dropping the enterprise feature. You are proudly standing by a tough call.
Because resource constraints are a reality of business. And executives want to know you can navigate them, not just report that you are a victim of them.
You are proving you understand the stakes of the game, not just the rules.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Once you have framed the past and defended the trade-offs of the present, the anxiety in the room drops.
Everyone can exhale.
Right. The executives feel secure that you have a handle on reality. That means their brains are now fully living in the future. They want to know where you are going next.
And again, the amateur instinct is to offer a list.
Right. They say, in Q3, we plan to focus on the onboarding experience, and we also have 2 market expansions, and we are looking into a new data pipeline.
The pile of engine diagnostics for the future.
Exactly. But the source material provides a forward commitment phrase that cuts right through that noise.
Which is?
In Q3, our single priority is X, and we will know we succeeded if Y.
The strategic weight of that phrase rests entirely on the word single.
Single priority.
Most teams will tell you they have multiple priorities. But mathematically and operationally, if you have multiple priorities, it effectively means you have none.
Everything is just an equally weighted task. If everything is important, nothing is important.
Naming a single priority shows the room that you have made the agonizingly hard choice about what matters most. You have drawn a line in the sand.
Yes.
And adding, we will know we succeeded if, gives them the clear, measurable condition for victory before they even have to ask for it. It leaves absolutely no room for ambiguity.
Speaking of ambiguity, the curriculum actually calls out specific language to avoid.
The banned words list.
Yes, words to completely ban from your corporate vocabulary because they sound strategic but are actually entirely hollow. The first one on the banned list is, we are aligned on the direction.
Oh boy.
I hear this 3 times a week. Why is the author so adamant that this is a banned phrase?
Because it is totally meaningless unless you name the actual direction. I mean, aligned on what exactly?
Right, alignment on a placeholder word is useless.
It is an empty corporate comfort blanket designed to make a meeting feel productive without committing to any actual work.
So what should you do instead?
If you catch yourself about to say this, you must replace it with the direction itself. Say, we're focused on mid-market activation for the next 2 quarters, and the team is building toward that. Name the thing you are aligned on.
You can't just point at the concept of a compass. You have to point out true north.
I like that.
The second banned phrase is equally common. Going forward, we will continue to. As in, going forward, we will continue to optimize the platform.
It sounds harmless, but in a strategic update, it is damaging.
Why is that?
Saying you will continue to implies that the next quarter is just a literal continuation of the last one. You are crafting. That is momentum, not strategy. Strategy requires active choice. If you genuinely have a strategic shift, name it.
And what if you actually shouldn't shift?
If you truly are just staying the course, you still need to make the reasoning visible. You say, we are staying the course on this because the Q2 data confirms we are in exactly the right place.
You justify the momentum. You do not just default to it.
Precisely.
So no empty alignment and no coasting on momentum. Which brings us to the final moments of a presentation. The slide deck is done, the OKRs are framed, the future is committed.
The wrap-up.
Usually this is where someone mutters, so yeah, that covers our update. Happy to take questions.
Followed by cricket sounds.
And then there's that awkward, heavy silence.
Which is the worst possible way to conclude an update. You're ending by looking backward at your own summary, passively waiting for the room to judge your report.
The alternative the source provides for the close is to pivot the energy of the room entirely. You end with, the question in front of us for the next quarter is X, and my view is Y.
What's fascinating here is that ending on a question is an invitation for the room to actually think alongside you.
You are shifting the dynamic.
Yes, from a performance review to a strategic working session.
The question in front of us for the next quarter is whether we push for the enterprise segment now or let the mid-market results consolidate first. And my view is we consolidate.
Brilliant.
You instantly elevate the entire room. You aren't asking them if they understood your metrics. You are inviting them into a high-level debate about the future of the company.
And crucially, you are staking out a position in that debate by stating your view.
Right.
You are ensuring that the resulting conversation is about direction. And when the conversation is about direction, you are no longer seen as the person just moving the levers in the engine room.
You are standing on the bridge, charting the course.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? When we step back and look at these concepts from the sharp English materials, the core takeaway is deeply empowering.
It really is.
Getting genuine buy-in and respect from leadership isn't about working harder on your tasks. It isn't about putting in more hours to make your checklist longer so you can prove your worth. It is fundamentally a translation exercise.
The daily work remains exactly the same, but the language you use changes how the value of that work is perceived by the people evaluating it.
With that in mind, I want to issue a direct challenge to you, the listener.
Ooh, a challenge.
Before your next update, whether you are writing an email, a Slack message to your boss, or standing up in a quarterly review, I want you to write out this one sentence.
Okay, get ready.
Our focus was blank, and the reason it mattered was blank. Do not write another word of your update. Do not build a single slide until you have that sentence crystal clear.
That's a great rule.
If you cannot fill in those blanks, You don't actually know what your update is for yet.
It is a clarifying, forcing function. But this raises an important question, something for you to mull over after we finish here today.
What's that?
We spent this entire deep dive talking about how adopting this strategy language changes how leaders perceive you. But consider the internal cognitive effect.
No, interesting.
If you completely overhaul your vocabulary to focus entirely on outcomes, deliberate trade-offs, and single priorities, does it actually change the way you execute your work day to day?
That is a wild thought. You start by faking it, but the language traps you into actually becoming it.
Does speaking like a visionary leader eventually force you to operate like one, even when nobody is watching? I mean, if you know you have to present your work as a strategic argument at the end of the quarter, does it change the projects you choose to take on at the beginning of the quarter?
It has to, right?
Language doesn't just describe your professional reality, it actively shapes it.
It forces you to stop staring at the engine diagnostics and finally start looking at the horizon. Until next time, keep digging deep.